Hello, welcome back to A Boring Revolution, your number one news source for everything in regards to the Boring Company. My name is Will Bradbury and welcome to the show. What are we going to be talking about today? I thought, you know what, I've not done a video for quite a while. I've just been so bloody busy. It's really struggling to find time, which is disappointing because I've got so many good videos lined up. But why not have a quick chat and talk about this particular article that was on Teslarati. Great article, as always. Teslarati, very reliable, good news source. Just talking about, you know, the possibility that we might see some tunnels in Texas. The Boring Company has been recruiting for various positions at Austin, Texas. Obviously, we have the Gigafactory, or the Terrafactory, as some people are calling it, is going up at the moment at a real kind of rocket pace. Great to see, really great to see. Berlin as well, absolutely flying. So let's have a chat about Austin. What might happen in Austin? What could they potentially do? How do they make some good money by running a mass transit system in Austin? And what is the best route for a potential system? So let's have a look. Got a few people in the chat. Don't worry, we'll come back to you at the end and we can ask or answer any questions you like. Okay, so let's go. And we'll do this. Here we are, live stream, 20th of November 2020. Wow, this year has shot by. As you can see, there have been quite a few positions advertised in Austin. Electrical engineer, 2 electrical engineers. No, in fact, no electrical engineer in Los Angeles, Las Vegas, and Austin. Interesting. Lead electrical technician, Austin. Mechanical engineer. So obviously these positions are directly related to the proof boring machine. That is about as much as I know at the moment. I'm not entirely sure why they're recruiting them at this very moment in time. Are they building a team for something? Highly likely. I suspect, and this is my prediction, which I'm going to make right now, I suspect they're going to run another test tunnel like they're doing in LA at the border with Las Vegas, or reasonably close to the Nevada border. I think they're going to run proof rock in a shaft there, a reception shaft, and have a look and see how well the machine copes with the geology in Texas, and see whether the machine is fit for purpose. Because if this machine is going to be rolled out, you know, across Europe, across, you know, the East Coast, you know, Boston, Baltimore, California, maybe even further extensions in other places as well. It needs to be able to cope with 90% of the geology that it comes up against. And the best way to find out if your machine is capable is to actually physically test a one-for-one machine, not some kind of scaled down model, because it doesn't work. If you have a smaller model and you test that, that is not the same as a full-scale model, because you're going to come up against more problems with a bigger machine. So it's all very interesting. I think it's just a test tunnel. They may only do, you know, 500, 600, 700 meters. And then they'll just run the data and see how effective they are. They then may do another tunnel, you know, maybe shorter distance, maybe 400, 500 meters, to see how well they can adapt the machine to go through that geology. But obviously they have this gigafactory that's going up in Austin. It's not a million miles away from the main central business district in Austin, so it would make perfect sense to link it up. But what about other places? Were people going to live in Austin and work at the Gigafactory? Is that the best way to go? Is to provide a transit solution for your workforce, maybe heavily subsidized, so that they feel, you know, happy that they are getting to work on time very quickly, and they don't need to pay a fortune to get to work, and they don't need to sit in traffic, and they know it's 100% green power. So, as you know, Elon Musk has sent a tweet. He was talking about the Austin chalk, this special layer of chalk that sits below a large part of Austin. It's not across Texas, though. It seems to be very much focused in the Austin area. There doesn't seem to be very large chalk deposits elsewhere, so that's quite unique. As you can see, there are some fault lines or volcanic kind of movements here at some point, so this may become an issue. This is just a general kind of outline of what the geology or the strata might look like. Obviously, it varies from, acre to acre. It really does vary quite a lot. So you have these various layers. So this Olmus layer is clay and sandstone mainly. There's some other things in there. This San Miguel layer is lignite, so it's like a very crap form of coal, basically. There's a lot of that around here as well, so I know that's pretty bad ground. Limestone, again, not a bad material for boring in. It's kind of ridiculed a bit, limestone, as a bad material to bore in, but we've learned over the years that it is actually not too bad if you have the right machine. And then we have our layer of chalk. Now, I have some experience of working with or on top of chalk on a job I worked in Hull, in Humberside, in the UK. It can be good if, however, it is badly fractured. This is bad stuff. So it'd be interesting to see how compact, how consistent the chalk is. Is it fraught with fractures? Is it very, coherent? And then below that, you've got this layer of shale. 2 layers, this upper Eagle Ford. So the ground's not too bad, actually. And even if you have to go through the limestone and lignite into the chalk, that ground as well isn't too bad either. As you can see here, it's Austin. There's a lot of cities in and around Austin. It's like in the middle. The perfect place to start a boring company system. You could link up San Antonio. You could link up, let's get the pen out. What should we go for? Blue. Let's go for blue. So you've got San Antonio here, Houston, Dallas. I've heard of Lafayette. I don't really know much about it. And then we've got some kind of settlement here of a few small or large towns. So there's a lot of potentially, for running long distances here. Whether that's the boring company system or maybe even the Hyperloop, or I know they are planning a high-speed rail network. So again, it's about, can we get there before that is built? Maybe not. Maybe it's just focused as an urban system. Who knows? But the question is, but to where? So I've had a good look at Austin, and I've had to think about what's important for, because remember, Tesla are probably going to fund most of this because they're linking up their gigafactory. So what works well for the boring company? What works well, more importantly, for Tesla in terms of their workforce, in terms of reducing their carbon footprint, in terms of drumming up support for the factory and the boring company technology in that local area? The obvious one is linking up the airport. The airport is around 3.71 miles. There's like a taxi rank here. There's a place where you can hire cars. There's plenty of room for this. The reason I've chosen this route, and I'm sure many of you are saying, hey, this looks a bit too, not quite as straight as it could be. I'm trying to avoid the runway. I don't want to go under the runway because I know that the people that own the airport are then going to say to me, hey, we're very worried about this. You're going to have to slow down. You're going to have to do X, Y, Z, which adds a load of cost. So what you want to do is avoid the runway at all costs. So this tunnel is about 150 meters, maybe slightly more above the runway. And there's already a parking area here. So, I mean, that works out quite well. Why link up the airports? It's a difficult one to say, really. It's maybe parts are coming in for the gigafactory. I doubt it. I really do doubt that. It's more about people flying in and then getting access to the gigafactory. Maybe people are coming to tour the gigafactory. Maybe people want to go to the gigafactory and explore the Colorado River because they are going to open this up, plant some trees. They're going to have a trail. So, there's options there. Maybe some employees fly in and they live near the gigafactory. I don't know. But the fact that the airport is so close, it just kind of makes sense to me to link up the gigafactory. Potentially, maybe they could go up here and then go on to other places. That is more my kind of thinking on this. So I'm going to propose a few more extensions, which need to happen for this line to be constructed. So let me just as well give you a few numbers. So the current Godot Plus machine can do about 5.2 miles of tunnel, so one tunnel, 5.2 miles per year, around about that kind of number. Now, I don't know if that's going to drastically increase or drastically decrease because of the geology. I expect that it probably might be nearer 6 miles because I think chalk is a reasonably good material to bore through. It's reasonably hard, but it's not too hard, which is perfect for TBMs. So if we could do nearly 6 miles, maybe 5.5 miles a year, you could either do this with one machine and do it in just over a year, so like say 15 months or so, or you could do it with two machines and do it in say 8 months, 8.5 months. So that's not too bad, 8.5 months. You know, you could have this up and running before the Gigafactory is even open. One search I did do for Austin is I wanted to have a look and see where are the really nice places to live in Austin that are not extremely expensive, but are kind of up and coming areas that have got a good reputation, but are not, you know, for the ultra wealthy, as it were. So these areas seem kind of perfect for people that would work at the Gigafactory. I find it quite ironic that one's called the North Loop. It seems kind of funny, but these three here certainly seem quite useful for the Boring Company, and I imagine that you could run a tunnel across here to the north of Austin. Now, I am going to connect up the centre of Austin at some point, but for the moment I'm thinking about what Tesla employees want, what Elon Musk might want, and obviously what benefits the local community. So if we were to connect up those various areas that seem like up and coming areas and they've got reasonable affordable housing, so we're talking about this area here. And remember, our autonomous electric vehicles will be coming out of the tunnels and then driving into the areas they need to go. We don't necessarily need to connect up every single street with its own tunnel. We can use the surface streets for the last, 2 to 3 to 4% of a journey. So this particular tunnel connects our Gigafactory, which is here. Maybe a little bit big, that. 17.49 miles. So if you had 6 TBMs, you could probably do that in under a year, and with maybe 2 TBMs, maybe just over 2 years for that one, because it's a difficult route, this, because you can't really follow. Once you get up to here, following the roads becomes quite difficult, and I've had to go under a few housing estates, which might be problematic, especially this bit here. And then here is kind of an empty area, really, where we can do a turnaround. And that's all well and good, linking up those existing areas, and there are some very high income estates where that route would potentially go. But what about doing something a bit more imaginative? Now, this is my ideal choice for improving Austin and creating almost this Tesla village. I think with Tesla's help, with the Boring Company, and maybe another company that's specialised in building homes, preferably prefabricated homes, high sustainable homes, and hopefully passive house. Passive house basically means it's very, very low carbon or zero emission homes. I'd like to link up this place and this place because they are not a million miles away from the factory. And instantly, by linking these places up with a tunnel, land values in these areas, Bastrop especially, would absolutely rocket. Absolutely rocket. And people could build their own homes in these areas. Very high sustainable homes. Maybe they build it themselves. Maybe Tesla builds its own estate. The world's your oyster, really. So we want to link up that area. Now, a lot of people have talked about Tesla getting into homes. They probably have to get in there with a partner who would actually build the superstructure and various other things. But in terms of the roof, in terms of things like the air conditioning, power wall, all that could be done via Tesla. Warren Redlick has done an absolutely cracking video on this. I really enjoyed it. I would recommend you watch it. I did my dissertation at university on prefabricated houses, although I did 5 and 6 story buildings. That was kind of my focus when I was at university. But the same kind of theories and technology can apply to 2-story and 3-story homes as well. This video as well by Cascades Academy is also extremely good. So I'd recommend you watch that. But they all play into my idea that we create a transport corridor and then we link up these places and link up this area here. And what we do is we build our Tesla village, and we also bring in some other developers as well, and we build up a kind of a community of Tesla employees, or maybe even just people who enjoy the Tesla vision, and we create this sustainable village that is off the grid. It's 95% powered by solar, maybe some other things as well. I don't know if there's a wind farm in the area. There probably is in Texas because there's a lot of good wind energy. You could buy this land for relatively cheap. Here, you could buy it relatively cheap, and then you could double, triple your money quite easily by building a specific Tesla village, or working with a developer who develops that land for you. So this one is 19 miles. So again, you could probably do that with 6 TBMs over about a year and a half, around about. So it wouldn't be too difficult. That's with current technology. So remember, when proof rock comes along, that's easily going to double that. So with proof rock, you might be able to do this with 4 TBMs under a year. That's what I personally think. Obviously, things could change. Maybe proof rock can do 100 meters a day. I think it's going to move into that direction. I think that's very it's not being excessively imaginative to say that potentially proof rock could do 100 meters per day, maybe in the next 2 years. I think in the long term they're going to be getting up to maybe 200 meters per day. So you could have 2 TBMs and you could do this in under a year. As soon as you can build systems like that in under a year, that makes developing land here, especially up here alongside the river. All this land alongside the river, now as long as it's not flood prone, you'd have to look into that, but people really like living next to natural landmarks like this, and especially if you're building very, very high-end, high-quality, super energy efficient communities, maybe schools as well, local shopping areas, pharmacies, all the things that you want in your local community are there within 200 meters of where you live. That's what you want, and that's what Tesla could deliver with a bit of help from a developer and the Boring company. So the next system that I'm proposing would link up the main central business district of Austin. So here's our gigafactory, which is right along the river. When they develop this, it's going to be a great place to have a walk around. So we want to go here and go into the center of Austin. So what we're going to do is we're going to go along here, along, I don't know if that's 5th Street or 6th Street. All the main kind of bars and eateries and cocktail lounges and live music is apparently along here between 7th Street and 4th Street, I believe. So running a system along here, you've got lots of ramps as well, coming off every so often. I'm doing this on the wrong side, aren't I? So you drive on the right hand side, don't you? So yeah, you drive on the right hand side, so you're coming off like this every so often. It might be difficult though because it's very densely packed around here. Maybe some land here. This absolutely blew my mind. Yeah, this is the train station in Austin. I cannot believe how small this train station is. Yeah, we have very small towns in and around where I live here, and they have bigger train stations than Austin. And Austin is a major city with almost 1 million people. And I'll show you this now. This is the train station in Austin. I can't get my head around that. I've never seen a more pathetic railway station in a major city. It is absolutely shocking. And Amtrak is still serving this with trains. It just blows my mind. It must be that no one uses it and they've just had to settle with this piece of garbage because it's just, I just can't believe it. It's just awful. Awful. Okay, yeah, so the first route would take us here, and that takes us most of the way, so that's around 5 miles. And then from here you can go follow 11 as well up to our estates up here, and then we can go across here as well. This is a perfect straight line. We don't need to worry about anything because we're just going under existing farmland or very low density housing. One concern with this is obviously we're going alongside a river, so that means the water table is going to be quite high in this area, so you're probably going to have to go deeper. You're going to have to use EPB or Earth Pressure Balance TBM, otherwise you're going to get massive amounts of water ingress. And here it is. So again, this is actually the easiest route because this bit here is very straight as well, and then this here is laser straight. And as long as you've got room to put in your ramps sort of every 500 600 meters, this could see very high throughput in a very dense area and get used a lot. Over here you've got a golf course and you've got some land alongside the river here, so creating a U-turn here or switchback, something that goes a bit like that, would be very, very easy. And we wouldn't need anything like this. We could do everything above ground. We could have vehicles stopping on the side streets and just dropping people off. That would be absolutely fine. So we wouldn't need to be spending, $5, $6, $7 million on a station. So let's go to the Q&A. I'm looking for good questions today. I hope you've got plenty of them. Ask me about anything. Happy to answer all your questions. And what do you think about Austin? Do you think Austin has a lot of potential as a city for the Boring Company, or do you think the Boring Company should focus on Las Vegas? Tell me what you think. So let's have a look. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go this one. So we've got space for our questions. So first of all, let's have a look who's in the house today. Why is that not adding? Oh, here he is. Johnny, lovely to see you. Hello. Hello, Mark. Thaddeus, nice to see you as always. Very, very regular to this channel and contributes a lot on our Discord as well, so that's great. Oh yes, Texas News Alerts, Texas is good. Doubt Texas will be trigger happy with eminent domain. Homestead rejections. Oh dear, is that true? So it looks like in terms of eminent domain, we'd have to stick to roads, which is reasonably easy for 3 of those routes that I proposed. One of them is going to be very difficult. You'd be hopeful that you could compensate people if a tunnel's going under the home and say, hey, here's $60,000. We're going to put a home under your house. If you don't want that money, then we'll go a different way. I'm sure at this very moment in time, people would accept that kind of money, and it would make it's worth doing that for the Boring Company. Don't know what that is. Don't know what it is. Is it Corpus? I've heard of Corpus Christi, but I have no idea what it is. So that's interesting. So it's a bit like the Blackpool of Texas or the Blackpool of the USA, is it? Because in the UK we have a coastal resort called Blackpool, which is next to Southport, and they're kind of the main kind of coastal getaways for people. Although they have declined a lot recently because everyone flies over to France and Spain. I hope not. Who runs Austin? Is it the Democrats or the Republicans? I have no idea. You'd hope that if they're promoting green transport options, they would want the Boring Company to build systems there. And there's a good reason why Tesla has chosen Austin. I think that they have a lot of sway over what the officials in Austin are going to accept and reject. So I'm not sure about that, Rob. I'm going to disagree with you on that one. Is it Taylor? Taylor to the north. Is there anything specific in Taylor that's good, or is it just kind of a bit of a town where you go for a drink, as it were, or nice food? What in particular is good about Taylor? Yeah, but why would you use a highway when you can get in a boring pod or a boring autonomous electric vehicle and you can do 128 miles per hour, or maybe even more, 140 miles per hour, and it only costs you like $7 to get where you need to go? I mean, that seems like, what nothing can compete with that, because you're getting there faster, it's costing you less because you don't need to own a car, and it's using 100% green energy. So why use a car when it's just going to get stuck in gridlock and it's going to cost you a load of money in gasoline? Yeah, I know very, very little. I meant to say that at the start. I'm attempting to link up places that I've basically pulled off various Google searches, because, for example, all those places that are great places to live, that basically came from one single website, and they recommended these various areas. It's just the fact that they were in the north of Austin that I decided to run the tunnel in that direction. These were all ideas. Some are good, some are bad. If they make sense to me, then they probably make sense to Elon Musk. Good question. So they've slightly changed how they do things. So they've got Godot Plus. Linestorm has disappeared. I don't know why. They should have just called it Linestorm, but it's called Godot Plus. And then Proofrock. The reason they probably removed Linestorm is because Godot Plus is only marginally better than Godot. And what they want to do is they want a kind of monumental increase from Godot Plus to Proofrock to then say to people, hey, look, we managed to get another 180% out of this machine. And that's why it's called Proofrock. That's my feeling. Whereas if they just called it Linestorm, it'd be like, well, you managed to get 20% more out of the machine. That's not really a great improvement. So that's my feeling for that. The Boring Company's goal is to make money. Yeah? And it makes money by moving massive amounts of people, and that's what it needs to do. It needs to focus on throughputs and undercutting the competition. In Austin, there is literally no railway system. They have a light railway, but it kind of doesn't really go in the right places. So the only other competition is the car, and as you know, the internal combustion engine is on the verge of dying, and I'm predicting that the Boring Company will probably help kill it, along with Tesla and its robo-taxi network. Because remember, the robo-taxi network knits in perfectly with the Boring Company system. I'm not entirely sure how that will work, whether one system will operate above ground and one system will operate below ground, but I think there'll be some kind of maybe a merger of the two, or a partial merger. I'm not entirely sure. We'll have to wait and see, but there's definitely some kind of connection between the robo-taxi network and the Boring Company autonomous electric vehicles. Yeah, and good point, well made, Johnny. There's a lot of arguments going on here in the UK about the UK government building massive amounts of new roads. So the UK is spending £26 billion over the next 5 years. So it's over the next 4 years now, because they've not really been able to start much of it, on new roads, new tunnels, new highways, expanding A roads into dual carriageways and things like that. And people are saying, hey, that's not a good idea because we need to, cut down CO2 emissions because, there's going to be global warming is going to get out of control. And my opinion is that as long as we make that switch to electric vehicles over the next 5 or 6 years, I don't really care. I think we should continue to build more roads. We should continue to increase the speed limits, and we should continue to increase the capacity. What we need to do is focus on moving to battery electric vehicles rather than internal combustion engine. And I'm sure that will happen in Austin as well, and Dallas and Houston and all the other cities in and around Texas. Well, no, because we're in competition. That's incorrect, Ben. We are in competition with the car, and what the Boring Company needs to do with the Tesla robotaxi system is undercut the costs. Yeah, undercut how much people are paying to get from A to B. Now, a lot of people want to dump their cars, but they feel like they have to have a car because there are certain situations when they must use a car to do certain things like shopping or maybe going out of town. The Boring Company and the Tesla robotaxi system will eliminate that need. It'll also be a lot cheaper just to pick up your phone and order a robotaxi or a Boring Company taxi, as it were, than owning a car. And that's the future. That's where we're going to go. It'll be on demand. It'll totally undercut Uber and Lyft as well. People will be selling their cars for like $700-800 just to get rid of them, because they don't want to be tied to a car. They want to have the freedom to go wherever they want, whenever they want, just by picking up the phone and ordering a robotaxi. And that's the way it's going to go. So going underneath motorways is a good way because you don't need to worry about eminent domain like Thaddeus has just mentioned. So it makes perfect sense. And remember, the speed limit is 140, 150 miles per hour. And the throughput of a dual bore tunnel is going to be either the same or slightly more than an 8-lane highway. It's so weird to me, and I have watched a few documentaries on this. In the UK, the number of people using the trains has been absolutely skyrocketing for the last 25 years. But even in comparison to Europe, that is small, because countries like Germany and Spain and France and Italy, literally everyone if you have to do a journey that's more than 70-80 miles, you get a train. And it's just so convenient, so easy. So it blows my mind that in America, they basically killed the train and replaced it with cars, which not only cost you, more money, because you've got to look after that car, you've got to insure it, but they're also less convenient because you're always getting into traffic jams and accidents. Look at the number of accidents on the American roads. It's absolutely insane. Agree. And connecting small towns and large towns to big cities. Yes, I do. They're doing a test tunnel to test proof rock, and they're actually building it right now. So they're testing the various new systems that they've got going on proof rock, including a new system for assembling the prefabricated concrete segments, so that the tunnel lining. So it's like I shouldn't use the word manipulator because someone's told me off about using that word, but it's basically a machine that picks up the segments and drops them into position, but it does it a lot faster. They're also using a system for continuous mining as well in the new proof rock machine. I don't know too much about that, but I know that they've developed their own system. They've also developed a system for moving segments into proof rock faster, and then also removing spoil faster. They have these electric trucks rather than trains. They don't need a railway. They're just basically rubber wheels, large rubber wheels. They're about 12 to 15 inches in diameter. So they're developing all those systems and they're testing them in and around LA. There's no intention to go from LA to Las Vegas. They're just running a test area and they're working on the technology, hence why they've hired all these people. Yeah. I believe at this moment in time, the Boring Company system only really works for distances of less than 140 miles. So any kind of town or city that is more than 140 miles away, the Boring Company system is not really useful for that application. It's more about connecting the suburbs to the central business district or the main kind of commercial area inside a city. For distances of more than 140 miles, my particular preference is either high-speed rail, Hyperloop, or a maglev system like they're building in Japan. That's my personal opinion. Suitable candidate for tunnels, in my opinion. Why though? Why is it not suitable? Is it because it's too densely packed? Are there no places you can park alongside the roads in the centre of Austin or near the centre of Austin? Because all you need to do is find a parcel of land that's around, say, let's say 50 meters squared. You need a parcel of land, 50 meters squared, and then you can have a ramp. So all you need to do is find, 8 of those parcels of land that are around 60 meters squared, and then you can have lots and lots of ramps coming up, and then the vehicles can go and use the side streets, because 95% of a journey will take place in the tunnel. The other 5% will take place on the surface. It will drop passengers off on the side streets, maybe in car parks, maybe on the side of the road, maybe there'll be a designated parking space. Who knows? But that's the best way to run a mass transit system using autonomous electric vehicles. Is it? Austin is already approved to fund the tunnelling project on the downtown city. Is that so? I didn't know that. I need to look into that. I know they're building a high-speed rail line. I wonder if that is to do with that, but I don't know. Because they already have like a metro system, don't they? That they built reasonably recently. I need to look into that more. But yeah, my knowledge of Austin and Texas in general is not great. I'm just kind of getting my head around it, and that's the purpose of this video really, is it gives me an opportunity to do a bit of research, to talk to you, to find out where I have gaps in my knowledge, and then you guys say, hey, you need to know about this is happening, that is happening, and then I go off, I do a few Google searches, I make a few phone calls and do some emails, and then before you know it, I'm an expert on Austin. Yeah, definitely. Who thinks it would be a good opportunity to build a tunnel to Corpus Christi, and then you could have maybe days out at the seaside, as it were? Good question, Rob. Thank you for all your questions today. You sound a little bit skeptical, but that's good. A little bit of skepticism is good. We appreciate all friendly questions. When do you think Tesla will have a robotaxi fleet? Level 5. I think they will achieve level 4 in the next 18 to 24 months. So level 4 autonomous driving. Level 5 is maybe 5 years away. I think maybe 4 years. They're very close. It's more about getting it approved. So I think at some point in the next 18 months, we'll see a huge rollout of the Tesla robotaxi fleet. As soon as people realise that autonomous vehicles are the future, that is when people start looking at the Boring Company as well, and they start to think, hold on a minute, these vehicles do exactly the same thing as a Tesla robotaxi fleet, except they hold 12 passengers, they are fully kind of protected, air conditioned, they also are dirt cheap and can do 145 miles per hour. As soon as people realise that, suddenly the Boring Company becomes, front page news across every single business channel in America. Fox Business, CNN Business, all these other places. Yahoo Finance, which Galileo Russell hates Yahoo Finance, doesn't he? Did anyone see that interview that Galileo Russell did on Yahoo Finance, and he's just going mad? Oh, it's amazing. Yeah, I actually do. Do you see the 12 on throughput limit? Oh, it's bullshit. Yeah, good question, Ben. Thank you for asking it. I messaged on Twitter the person who wrote that article. They are a little bit unsure. I don't think that those regulations are applicable to the Boring Company in the situation in which they find themselves. I believe, the thing is, I can't actually see the regulations because I have to pay to look at them, which is bizarre. I mean, in the UK, you can just go onto the building regulations website and just download Part A, Part D, Part E, whatever you want to download. And it's just there in front of you, all 100 pages of it. But this thing, you look at it and it's like, It's so obscure. There's definitely a way around that. I don't see a reason for that regulation based on what the Boeing company are building. Because what's going to set on fire? Are people going to spontaneously combust? I don't fucking think so. Are the cars going to have fires? Very unlikely. These new vehicles are having very, very, very few fires. And when they do have a fire, it's not like a petrol fire. It's kind of like a rupture, and then people, they run away. It's not a confined space on the tunnel. Sorry, station 1 and station 3. Now, station 2, potentially I can see an issue there. Yeah, if in the absolutely, 1 in a million chance that a vehicle decides it wants to spontaneously combust. But the simple answer is to mitigate against that potential occurrence by having a set of sprinklers running along the tunnel, which they are doing. They're running sprinklers along this tunnel. This is not the tunnel, by the way. This is the Hawthorne tunnel. So it looks like this, but they'll be running down the centre. Also, in the main station hall, you'll have lots and lots and lots of sprinklers. And if there's an issue, sprinklers turn on, everyone gets very, very wet. The fire can't spread. No one gets injured. All the smoke gets damped down, so no one, inhales all the smoke. There's no issue here. The probability of someone getting injured or hurt is so small. But I don't have a good knowledge of US building regulations. It seems very fishy to me, personally. So I would ignore that because the Boeing company have not commented on it, and clearly they have known about that regulation for the last 12 months. So it seems to me they have circumvented it, so it's not applicable. Here's a good question by Jacob. Thank you very much, sir. How many TBMs can the Boeing company manufacture per year? I say we need to produce 100 TBMs per year to make a 200-mile tunnel with TBMs. So even the current Godot Plus machine is capable of doing around 5.5 miles per year. So the current machine that they're using in Las Vegas, which is nowhere near peak performance of Proof Rock. So if you had 10 of the current Godot Plus machines, you could do almost 55 miles in a year. So I mean, yes, it'd be great to have lots and lots and lots of TBMs, but why do we need so many? If the Boeing company ever goes out and builds a gigafactory for TBMs, it'll probably be producing maybe at most 60, 70 TBMs per year. I think that's a bit ambitious, actually. I think it'd be closer to 50 TBMs per year. And those 50 TBMs, if they're Proof Rock, are capable of well over 1,000 miles a year. I'd say 50 TBMs, maybe you're just under 1,000. But a TBM, as long as you keep replacing the parts and replacing the shield occasionally, you could maybe get 5, 6, 7, maybe even 8 years out of a machine. So after 5 or 6 years, you could have enough machines to build an entire new city. So yeah, good question. Yeah, that's what worries me. This apartment here is right next to a river. Yeah, when I bought this, I was like very, very worried. Very, very worried. Because I bought this flat at auction, or this apartment at auction, and I was like, this is just so low. And the river is 45 foot behind me. Yeah? But it never ever gets above this. And this flat is like 8 foot above the river. So if the land is flood prone, there might be a way to protect that land. So you could build maybe like an upstand or something, some kind of raise the ground level, a temporary kind of earthwork. It'd have to be a permanent one, wouldn't it be like a dike almost, alongside one part of the river, and then on the other side you could build a housing estate. So there are solutions. Obviously they are costly, but if that land is dirt cheap, like you say, and you're only spending like $10-15 a square meter, or maybe less than that, then it's going to be worth it if you can engineer a solution to that flooding. But flooding is only going to get worse over the next 20 years, so you need to think about that. Yeah. Well, it depends on the snail and what performance-enhancing drugs they're using. How did I work it out to? Oh, I can't. Off the top of my head, I can't remember what I worked it out to be. It was over. I think it was over 200 meters a day for a snail, just over, something like that. So I think a snail can do just under a mile a week. I think just under a mile a week, something like that. In the end of the day, work out how much it does per day, then times that by 365. So that's 365 days in a year, and then take off 10% because there's going to be maintenance periods. And if you could get that up to, around 14, 15 miles per year, that TBM is an absolute, it's a gold mine. It's going to make you so much money if it can do 15 miles in a year. Because all you need to do is build more TBMs. TBMs are not excessively expensive. You'd be lucky if you could spend 100 million on a TBM. That'd be a big TBM as well. So the fact that the Boring Company are building quite small, 14-foot diameter TBMs, it's going to be a lot less than that. So if you're spending, let's just put a number on it. Let's say you're spending 33 million on a TBM. Yeah, it's just nothing. You could build 10 of them, and then you could have them all doing 15 miles a year. And at the end, once they're defective, you throw them away. You end up with a system of tunnels that is going to be there for 150 years that you can milk for big amounts of money, because you can undercut everyone. The Tesla, what people don't realise about the Tesla robotaxi, it's going to undercut everyone. So if you own a car, it's going to pull you out of your car because it's going to be a lot cheaper to use a Tesla robotaxi. Trains are mostly driven, still have train drivers, certainly in the USA and the UK. They're going to get undercut big time. They're going to disappear. Uber and Lyft absolutely is a dead business. With all the debt, is gone. Trams are so slow, expensive, going to get destroyed. Even potentially airplanes and things like that for short haul flights. Even VTOL potentially could get decimated by the Boring Company if they can get the cost down to a passenger of let's say 50 cents per mile. It's nothing. When you work it out, when you work how much I spend £420 near enough to insure my car, and then I'm putting at least £30 worth of petrol in it every month, if not more than that. So when you work it out, you're better off not owning a car if you don't have to. Yeah, I heard that. So Warren Redlick told me that 6th Street is really, really good. So that's hence why I put that route there. And I quite like live music. So if I ever do go to Austin, I'll probably go down 6th Street. And it looks like there's a few cocktail bars as well, which always intrigues me. Yes, sir. Great name, by the way. I'm also called Will. So TBC bricks are very important. If you can sell the spoil from the TBM, that's going to save you a lot of money because you don't have to dispose of it. Bricks made of chalk, so Austin chalk, will look fantastic. Someone has emailed me saying, I like the idea about bricks, but I think the bricks are going to look terrible and no one will buy them. Well, if you're selling bricks for 10 cents, or even less than that, 8 cents say, 8 cents a brick, and they look great because they're made out of this compressed chalk, people are going to buy them. And yes, it's going to happen in Las Vegas and in Austin if they do build a tunnel there. Cap Metro light rail station, so that's a Cap Metro. How big is the Cap Metro system? Is it fairly big? And do you know when it was built approximately? I'm assuming that it's fairly new. It's difficult because with the Hyperloop, you need that route to be very, very straight, like extremely straight. So if you have a curve, and say that curve is, even if it's like 500 meter radii of that curve, that's not going to be suitable for the Hyperloop. The Hyperloop's going to have to slow down. So you'd have to build it in advance, thinking about using it for Hyperloop. It might just be cheaper just to build a new tunnel. You'd have to go very deep, and you'd have to do it like laser straight. But good question. Haha, my good friend Cormac is here. How are you, sir? How's the lockdown in Ireland? I have heard that you are shut down, which is very, very sad. But I'm hoping that you're safe and well, sir, and your family as well. I hope everyone is safe in here today. Really hope so. Is it possible to dig the Boeing's company shares? Build cheaper metro systems? Yeah, I hope so. I hope that you can share some of that technology, maybe outsource the patents to certain countries, rather than doing it to everyone. Say, hey, Vietnam, Thailand, Philippines, where else could we go? Japan, maybe, India. Say, hey, if you are a company in this country, then you can get the patents. I don't know if they have any patents at the moment, but I'm assuming they will develop some as Proof comes along. And yes, I hope they really are open. A Tesla in a tunnel is level 3 if the driver sleep right in the tunnel. This is a big thing. We need to make 200 miles per 6 months. Yeah. I mean, the more TBMs, the better. My personal preference would be to put maybe 6-7 miles in between TBMs, and then just let them run. But yeah, the more TBMs, the better. The faster you can build a system, the faster you can, dominate the local area. The faster you can get the fares in, because once you've taken over an entire area, you can start putting the fares up a little bit and increase your gross margins. Now, hopefully, it doesn't put it up 100%, but you could put it up like 5 or 6% per year. Good stuff. Cormac, Ireland's Road Safety Authority. Let's have good luck. Some feedback. Great stuff. Yeah, go and check that out, people. A Tesla level 4 robotaxi fleet. Where would that be? Level 4 implies a geofence. No. Level 4 basically means it can operate on all like sort of A roads, dual carriageways, suburban roads, that kind of thing. Level 5 is basically where it can do absolutely everything. So the weather is horrendous, it can still cope. It could go off road. It can go down dirt tracks. It can pull out itself out of extremely dangerous situations. Maybe something absolutely bonkers happens, like people are shooting it. It can evade. But level 5 is like a massive step up on level 4. People don't realise that. Level 4 is basically like 99.975% of driving that you do during, a 10-year period. That small amount is things like, you have to go off road and you have to go down and go around someone's home, and it's like there's not really a marked out road, that kind of thing. So level 4 is fine. You don't even need to aim for level 5. It's not necessary. Hey David, hope you're well, buddy. I like the airport option. Yeah, but I know that it'd be useful for Elon, but I'm struggling to think of. People have asked me to go to the airport, so that's why I did that route. But what other uses could we have for that potential route, other than maybe people on a Friday who are flying out and they're like, hey, we're going to fly out to, I don't know, Corpus Christi maybe on the plane. Who knows? Maybe some parts will come in via the airport. I'm not entirely sure for the Gigafactory. It's difficult to say, but having a link to the airport, it's good to have that interconnection where maybe you live in North Austin, or maybe you live in a town nearby and you can get that connection via the Gigafactory. Yeah. It's fairly easy to protect areas against flooding. You can build like an earth embankment. So my background is in the water industry, and we nearly built a large reservoir near Oxford somewhere until the local residents said they didn't want it, but now they want it because they had water shortages last year. But that's NIMBYs for you. But it's fairly easy to build an earth embankment and then a thin layer of concrete on that to protect against water ingress. So there's ways around these issues. You only need to do it on one side of the river. Interesting. I'll have a look at that, Johnny. So thank you for pointing it out to me. Nuclear power. Don't get me started on nuclear power. I'm a big fan. A big fan. I think small modular reactors are the future. I think that smaller reactors are perfect, and obviously I want people to invest in wind and solar, but I think that if you can build a nuclear reactor for less than $200 million, then you should consider that, because you're getting your base load of power basically, and it's as close to renewable as you can get. It's perfectly clean, and nuclear power is very, very, very safe, and there have been no major incidents in the UK or the USA or India or China or France since 1960. Nothing, absolutely nothing. There's just been 2 stupid accidents that should never have happened. Well, that's life for you. They ruin things for you, and then everyone goes and complains about it. Okay, so it's looking like the 25th of January they will be running some test runs in Las Vegas. If you are there, get yourself down. They might let you on and have a run, but it's going to be a limited service. They just want to test the vehicles up to the first capacity level, which I believe was 2,000. Is it 2,000 or 2,200? Something like that. So 25th of January, they'll be doing the first sort of test in Las Vegas, and they'll also be starting the new tunnel to Resorts World in late February, and then after that, maybe at the end of the year, they'll be doing another tunnel to the Wynn Casino, which is just down the road from the golf course near the conference centre. Nuclear diamond battery. I don't know enough about that, but in talking about fission, nuclear fission, I believe there's a few companies that are working on small modular reactors, and I think that is the future for baseload power, obviously wind power, solar power, and tidal. There's a lot of opportunity for tidal power in Ireland. I don't know if you know about that, Cormac. A friend of mine works out there, and yeah, there's big potential for getting maybe 10, 15, 20% of the electricity from tidal power in places like Ireland and the southwest of England as well, around Bristol. Yes. It's funny that we should mention the southwest of England and then you ask that question, because they have a history of building rammed earth structures. But yeah, it's very similar to that, except it's the pressures involved in making a boring brick are absolutely insane. I believe it's 3,000 psi that crushes the brick, so it's like it's so densely packed that it's going to be perfect for homes, and it'll look good with chalk. The actual brick will look really nice, have a really nice feel to it, and the colour as well will look lovely. Was it really? Oh, that's terrible. Well, I'm presuming the safety system stopped it from melting down. It's all well and good saying it might have melted down, but I doubt it. I doubt it. Great. I think I have exhausted all the questions now, and we're coming up to 1 hour as well. So I think I'm going to end this live stream. Really, really good. Lots and lots of good questions. So yeah, big applause to everyone who's asked any questions. If you want to get a quick question in, throw it in. I'm going to answer one more and then I'm going to call it a day. But thank you so much for everyone who's been joining us. If you have not done so, please like and subscribe to the channel. Consider joining me on Twitter, Instagram, and Discord as well. We'd really, really appreciate that. And yeah, consider supporting me on Patreon as well for $2. It really helps grow the channel and allows me to invest in new equipment. Just a quick bit of news. I am going to be moving. I have purchased another house. I've added to my portfolio, as it were. And as much as I love this wonderful apartment here, I have found somewhere much, much better, and it has its own studio. So that is the future for this channel. It's going to have a bit more input from me in terms of getting into a bit more of a professional situation. So yeah, great. Thank you everyone who just liked that. Oh, that's a shame. There's a few companies doing it actually. I can't think of where. Yeah. So it'll be well above 100 miles per hour, 155 miles per hour has been mentioned. However, the wear and tear on tyres at those kinds of speeds is excessive. So sometimes when I talk, I quote the number 128 miles per hour because I believe that is kind of the perfect performance level where you have wear and tear, but it's minimised because the speeds are reasonable. And obviously 128 miles per hour, you can do 128 miles in 1 hour of running, which is, you know, an easy way to make good money. Okay, great. Oh wow, really? Anyway, thank you everyone for joining us today. I really do appreciate all your support, and please like the video and click the bell icon so that you get regular updates. Thank you so much, and remember guys, don't be boring. I will see you on the next one. Have a great time. Thank you everyone. Goodbye.
It's time to kick ass and chew bubble gum. I'm all out of gum.